Last time, we explored how Leonardo da Vinci crossed disciplines to understand the world. Today, we meet someone who crossed disciplines to imagine a new one. Picture this. The year is 1843. A Victorian mathematician named Ada Lovelace is writing notes about a machine that doesn't even exist yet. But here's what's shocking. Buried in those notes are predictions about your life in 2026. Smart thermostats adjusting to your preferences, targeted ads following you online, personalized medicine analyzing your DNA. How could she see this 183 years before it happened? That's what we're uncovering today. Ada Lovelace wasn't just any Victorian mathematician. Born in 1815, she was the daughter of the famous poet Lord Byron. But she rejected poetry for something her mother valued more: mathematics. In 1843, she was translating notes about Charles Babbage's Analytical Engine, a mechanical computer that was never built. But Ada did something remarkable. She added her own notes that were 3 times longer in the original article. And in those notes, she didn't just describe a calculator, she described a vision of computing that wouldn't be realized for over a century. Here's what made Ada different. While everyone else saw Babbage's machine as a supercalculator, she saw something more. She wrote, "The engine might compose elaborate and scientific pieces of music of any degree of complexity." Music from a mechanical calculator. Think about what that means. Today we call this generative AI. Tools like Suno, Udio, and even ChatGPT generating music, images, and text. Ada predicted generative AI from a Victorian study 183 years before it existed. This was her poetical science, the idea that imagination and analytical rigor weren't opposites but partners. She understood something profound. Machines that manipulate symbols according to rules could potentially do anything that could be represented symbolically. Numbers, yes, but also letters, music, images, ideas. What Ada discovered is what we now call algorithmic thinking. The idea that if you can break something down into logical steps, into an algorithm, then a machine can execute it. This is the foundation of all modern computing. But here's where it gets wild. She didn't stop at calculation. She started asking, what else could be algorithmic? And that question led her to predict things that sound eerily familiar to us in 2026. Let's start with your home. In 1843, Ada described how logical operations could respond to changing conditions. She used the example of the Jacquard loom, a textile machine that used punch cards to create complex patterns. Sound familiar? Your smart thermostat does exactly this. If temperature drops below 18 degrees, then increase heat. If you leave home, then enter energy-saving mode. This is the machine learning foundation. Ada described conditional logic that responds, adapts, and learns from changing inputs. Your lights that turn on at sunset. That's Ada's self-adjusting system. Your coffee maker that starts brewing when your alarm goes off. That's algorithmic logic responding to conditions. Exactly what she described. Here's what Ada understood that was revolutionary. She saw that instructions didn't have to be fixed. They could be conditional, they could adapt. She wrote about how the analytical engine could modify its own operations based on intermediate results. That's exactly what your smart home does when it learns your patterns and adjusts automatically. Wake up at 6 a.m. on weekdays, the system learns. Come home at different times, it adapts. Ada predicted adaptive algorithms 180 years before machine learning. But she didn't stop at simple if-then. Ada theorized about systems that could integrate multiple data sources: temperature, time of day, user preferences, all feeding into decisions. Your smart home security camera that distinguishes between your dog and an intruder, that's pattern recognition from visual data. Your meal planning app that orders groceries based on your dietary preferences and schedule, that's multivariable algorithmic optimization, exactly what Ada envisioned. And now let's talk about something even more profound. Ada wrote about how data processing could be applied to problems beyond mathematics. She specifically mentioned analyzing patterns in complex systems. Fast forward to 2026. AI can now analyze your genetic data to predict disease risk. It can recommend personalized treatment plans based on millions of patient outcomes. It can detect cancer in medical images as reliably as a trained specialist. Ada understood that if you could represent biological data symbolically, which we now do with genetic sequences, medical scans, and health metrics, then algorithms could process it, find patterns, and generate insights. Think about your fitness tracker. It monitors your heart rate, sleep patterns, activity levels, and stress indicators. Then it gives you personalized recommendations. This is Ada's vision realized. You as a dataset, your health metrics being processed algorithmically to optimize outcomes. The machine isn't just calculating, it's analyzing patterns unique to you. She predicted that once you could turn information into symbols, you could apply logical operations to optimize complex systems like human health. The same principle applies to education. Ada theorized about machines that could adjust their operations based on intermediate results. That's exactly what platforms like Khan Academy and Coursera do today. Struggling with algebra, the algorithm adjusts, gives you more foundational problems. Excelling at vocabulary, it accelerates your learning path. And in 2026, this goes further. Kanmigo, Khan Academy's AI tutor, doesn't just serve you content, it holds a real-time conversation with you, identifies exactly where your understanding breaks down, and adapts in the moment. Education tailored to each student in real time based on their performance data. Ada saw this coming from her Victorian study in 1843. Ada didn't just predict what machines could do, she predicted how they could connect. She understood that the analytical engine's potential power came from its ability to process and share information. In her notes, she described how one operation's output could become another's input, essentially describing networked computation, information flowing between processes. That's the internet. That's your social media feed. That's every app on your phone exchanging data, processing it, and generating results based on what thousands of other users are doing simultaneously. Ever wonder why Amazon seems to know what you want before you do, or why Netflix always has the perfect show for you? Ada predicted this. She wrote about how machines could analyze patterns in data to make predictions about future operations. If past purchases show a pattern, the algorithm predicts future preferences. She understood something fundamental. Algorithms don't just calculate results from current data, they can predict future outcomes based on historical patterns. That's the foundation of every recommendation engine you use today. But perhaps her most prescient prediction was about communication itself. Ada theorized about how symbolic manipulation could facilitate complex information exchange between people. Welcome to social media. Your posts, photos, videos, all converted to data processed by algorithms that determine who sees what, when. Trending topics emerge from algorithmic pattern recognition across millions of users. The entire digital public square, from debates to viral videos to global movements, operates on algorithms that amplify, connect, and facilitate communication. Ada saw this potential 183 years ago. So here's what Ada Lovelace did that was truly revolutionary. She wrote the first computer program, an algorithm for calculating Bernoulli numbers, before computers existed. But more than that, she wrote an unwritten code, a vision of what computing could become. Not just calculation, but creation. Not just following rules, but adapting to conditions. Not just processing numbers, but understanding patterns in music, art, health, and society. She saw AI before we had electricity. Every time your smart home adjusts automatically, that's Ada's adaptive algorithms. Every time AI analyzes your health data, that's her patient as dataset concept. Every time Netflix recommends a show, that's her pattern recognition prediction. Every time a generative AI tool composes music or creates art, that's Ada's poetical science made real. She predicted your life. From a cold room in Victorian England without even a working computer to test her theories, she saw the algorithmic age we live in today. So here's my challenge to you. If Ada could see our AI-powered world from 1843, what could we see about the future if we cultivated that same combination of imagination and analytical rigor? What she called poetical science, that fusion of creativity and algorithmic thinking, is exactly what we need to navigate the AI revolution we're living through. The question isn't whether algorithms will shape your life, they already do. The real question is, will you understand them well enough to shape back? Ada Lovelace wrote the first algorithm without a single working computer. She bet on the future with nothing but logic and imagination. Don't miss our next deep dive. Subscribe and tap the bell icon to stay ahead of the curve, because next time we're going deep into another mind that changed history and left us clues for today. This is Timeless Tech in the digital renaissance, where ancient wisdom meets modern AI.